Welcome back to the Mid-Year Mitch YouTube channel. Today's episode, I just want to do a quick video talking about Corvettes at Carlisle 2025. Thank everybody for all their support. And we have a couple stories that ties into Carlisle that I thought this was a great opportunity to talk about. First and foremost, Carlisle was a great time. Thank you for everybody that came over, stopped by, congratulated us, talked to us, that bought merch. It was a great time. Got a couple gifts from people, which was super awesome. I appreciate that. And it was just nice to talk to people again and, hear why they like my videos, that I help them on their projects and talk to people about their projects. It's just a good collaborative environment. It's good to see, people selling their project cars, seeing what other people brought, talking to the guys at Vet Masters, at Dynamic Corvettes, all my friends out there. It's always good to spend some time with them. So I appreciate that. The Millers put on a great event, and that's kind of one thing I wanted to dive into is some of the awesome cars that were at Corvettes at Carlisle this year. I didn't get a bunch of video, but I got some pictures of them. And if you haven't come to the event, you definitely need to. They pulled out a lot of cool cars, especially at the last minute. So one of my favorite tents that they had, which I found on the last day, was the race car tent. They had a bunch of really historical race cars in there, from the replica of the Penske Grand Sport, Penske's 66 Corvette Coupe, the blue L88 car, the actual car, which is probably priceless. And then right next to it was the replica of what the car used to look like whenever it raced early on. So that was super cool. It was cool to see like the Owens Corning Fiberglass big block race car. There are some LE88s there, some of the Sebring and Lamas, like C1 Corvettes. There was just, I didn't pay attention to the newer vets in that tent. I just paid attention to the old stuff. But there were a lot of really probably priceless or millions of dollars of cars just sitting under that tent, which was pretty incredible to see all those old race cars and stuff like that. And then a couple tents down was Dave Kindig's 12 Air car that they did, which was a fully hand-built aluminum bodied car. If you haven't seen it, it's amazing. I saw it in Pittsburgh at one of their shows, but I think Max Motive brought it down. Phenomenal build. The whole body is handmade out of aluminum. Nothing is production car on it. And a lot of people were saying, why didn't they call it the 12ette, as in a Corvette? But they didn't know the history that Dave Kindig is doing a whole bunch of these prototype Corvettes. He started off with doing like the 53 style Corvette. Then he went to the Corvette Corvair, which I'll put a picture up, but they had a prototype which was like a fastback version of that. They had a Corvette Nomad, which was the wagon version. They had one that had a hard top on it, like you would see on like a 57, 56 and up Corvette, and then they had the Roadster. So they had all their prototypes. So I think Dave Kindig is doing a nod to that with each one of his cars. It's just like a new updated resto mod. The car was absolutely stunning. Definitely a car you have to see in person. It was worth traveling out for, and it was cool that Corvettes at Carlisle was able to get that car, because I think it was supposed to go to another show and they were able to divert it. It was just a phenomenal car to have. And that was right across from the very first Corvette, which was on the stage under by the grandstand under the roof there, which was the very first Corvette. Now there is a little bit of controversy. I've heard people squawk about it, but it's the first Corvette. It's documented that it is, 3950 was the code name for it. And there are some modifications that were done to this car that match factory documentation from back in the 50s, whenever they were trying to adapt the car, get a little more floor room in some areas. And they tried different revisions out on that car. That car was supposed to be lost in a fire, but seems like it was there in one piece. I mean, it had some bumps and bruises. I'm sure that was even from back in the day. Most of the paint was gone off the car, and it had a little bit of red oxide primer, but you could see all the original seams of the car. You could see a couple repairs, but you could also see what type of fiberglass the car was made out of, which is unique. Later Corvettes used matte fiberglass, where there are a bunch of shorter strands that are just randomly oriented in different directions for really good strength. It's a really good fiberglass. Now, the early Corvettes, I think they used it up into like the later 50s. I think whenever they switched to like 58, they used matte. But the older cars use woven cloth that's just two directions, this way and this way. It's woven together like you would see a quilt or something like that. It's pretty strong, but it's also pretty rough. And you could see all that fiberglass. And that reminded me of a cool story and a cool picture I saw of a 53 Corvette sitting outside of a factory where they made the fiberglass. That fiberglass on that Corvette was made at Owens Corning Fiberglass in Huntington, Pennsylvania. Well, back in the day, my dad, one of his first jobs whenever he moved back home, was working at Owens Corning Fiberglass. And in the 50s, I'll put up a picture in a little article, they actually made the fiberglass for the Corvettes. I don't know if it was only for the early C1s that they did it when they switched to matte, if it went from another manufacturer, but for at least the early C1s, they used Owens Corning fiberglass. And my dad was working there, driving pretty far to work there, and he one day met a guy who had a 67 Camaro in the parking lot, and they started talking about cars. My dad had a 65 Corvette. He had a 67 Camaro. They got to talking, they became buddies. And then August was rolling around, and he said, "Hey, why don't you come out to Corvettes at Carlisle with us? My dad and I have a Spot K62. Why don't you come out and hang out with us?" I was like 3 or 4. I was maybe a little older. I was elementary school possibly. I was little. We went to Corvettes at Carlisle, and we started hanging out with Greg and Frank, getting to know them. And we found out that Frank had a 63 Corvette, a red one, tucked away in the garage that had been apart for many, many, many years. And over the years, every single year we saw them at Carlisle, and I nagged him, and I nagged him, and I nagged him some more, and a little bit more, till eventually he let us see the car so we could try to buy it. And we did end up purchasing that car, and that is my red split window today. But that car, if you opened up the garage door and looked out, that was the Owens Corning fiberglass factory on the other side of the fence. So that brought us all together. Owens Corning fiberglass brought everybody together, made the Corvettes originally. That's how we found our Corvette. And at the end of the day, Corvettes at Carlisle brought us together. So it's a fantastic event. I thought I'd share that little story because I think it's a really good event. You can find all kinds of cool deals. You can meet all kinds of cool people. And everybody travels from all over. I met some people that were from other countries. And, it's just a really cool event. So if you haven't come out for it, you should definitely come out next year. It's an awesome time. And I'm hoping that we can get something put together for next year, maybe in the swap meet area. Maybe we could do a seminar where we start skinning a Corvette. Try to get some more people down to the swap meet area to help out the millers there. I know the swap meet area it sometimes looks a little thin, so it'd be nice to try to bring some people from the top of the show down to the bottom. So let me know what you think. But next week we'll be jumping back into that 65 Roadster. I'm working on it now. I don't have enough done for a video, which is why I'm talking about Carlisle. But next week, you'll be seeing a lot of that, and I'll talk about my Carlisle haul in another video. So if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. So I got a lot of work to do, and I'll catch you guys later.